Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be going over the SP 500, the Nasdaq 100. We're not going to waste any time before we get into this. And I got some really big news to let everyone know about. Before we get into that, to ask you to consider doing two things: liking and subscribing. Every single day I'm making these videos for you so you know how the market's going to move and you are not surprised going into each week. The big news I'm going to give it to you right now. We just launched our new Facebook group. You're going to be able to see everything as we're posting it as well. This is basically the free aspect of the Discord. So if you're not ready to make that next step in the Discord, the Facebook group is for you, and we'll be posting a lot more on here as well, breaking news, things like that. It'll be more user friendly and let you be involved as well. The link will be down below. Let's get into this. For this week, this is the main thing we need to be talking about. Before I even get into the charts, I want to talk about the key three things you need to be looking at, because we have a lot of volatility and a lot of movement that most likely will be affected on the market almost immediately. Going into Wednesday, you have your rate hike FOMC. Thursday, GDP. All week long, you have your earnings. As we take a step out of here, I want to go back to the Facebook group and highlight what I posted yesterday. These are your earnings that you have coming in this week. Going into Monday, not the biggest ones. You have some Logitech, Squarespace. Those aren't, again, those are not the massive ones. But as you progress, you have Google, Visa, Microsoft, Chipotle. These start to really get bigger. Going in further, Meta, Shopify, Boeing, Spotify. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger as we go. Then on Thursday, Apple, Amazon, Roku, Intel, some bigger ones as well here. These are going to be the big tech movers again. And then again, oil commences at the end of the week going into next week as well. So you can definitely see our hands are going to be full going into this week, and you're going to have to be paying attention almost every single day. If you watched my previous video on Friday, then you might be thinking Tyler is an absolute bull, but I want to show you both case scenarios right now and basically what's been taking place so far. And I do want to highlight this really quick. I was cleaning up my chart just to make it a little bit better for you guys, but I also do want to highlight this key area that we have. Sorry, give me 1 second. Basically right there. Okay, so we're going to come right back and we're going to get into this basically on the 15-minute and show you what is happening. This overall is a giant key area, but what I want to do really quick to show you is ultimately how you've been trending in this area. But as we delete this, once again, what I want to highlight to you is a key area of where you've been at and where you continue to mount. Okay, so when we talk about the areas on the chart, we continue to talk about previous highs. And I know some people may get a little bit confused when I say that, so I want to make this almost as clear as possible. So what I'm doing is I'm marking out previous highs. And when you're looking at the scale of whatever stock you're looking at or index, in this case, we're looking at Nasdaq. We all know this is my favorite. It's my bread and butter. It's how we make a majority of our money here on the channel. And it's how we predict how the market's going to move going forward in key areas. So what I'm doing is I'm marking out previous highs that you have pushed. So you saw Nasdaq had a massive push all the way up to around 12.3, 12.35. You had a high here, 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 ended up topping out, coming back down. So when we come back here, what I'm looking at is I'm marking out all three of these highs you had, and basically that's going to be your support level. Then you push up again, you had that same range basically here through right here, and you can see if we highlight that once again, you can see where you started to respect that as a support level. Once again, you can see right there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 touches. You can count more if you really wanted to, but you can see how that held there, and then eventually you broke down through it, so that invalidated there. But what happened on Friday? What were we talking about? Going into Friday, very bullish, or very bearish, I'm sorry, and we were looking for more downside. Again, if you don't believe me, go on YouTube, prepare, we're dumping, things like that. That's what we were looking at. Now we go back over here and looking at what happened. You had a nice double top and you came down with almost immediate selling pressure. But when we go back and look at the volume, you can see that it wasn't that intense of volume specifically on Nasdaq and ES futures. Now going really quickly over to ES, the key thing that had us looking really crazy on Friday when we get here is the fact that ES pushed up so nicely. ES really broke above those previous highs and made a nice little breakthrough over that double top, came back in that range. We talked about 4,010 all the way to 4,030 was our local resistance, and then you started breaking through previous highs, broke, and then you broke once again. But now you're holding this key range, and this is a massive range. Why is it bigger? Why is it more important? As we get in here, you can see, one, you held that range here all the way through here, and you can see what happened as you broke through. This is what I'm always looking for on charts, not just indexes, but indexes give you a better look into the broad aspects of the market. So you see a clear breakthrough right here, And then when you come and retest the zone, which is always where you're looking to buy, you're always looking to buy the retest, not the breakthrough. So when you come down and retest, you test the absolute bottom, round off, and then you make a higher low, can't speak right now, it's Sunday, higher low right there, and then you continue to push up. Very good. And once again, you're getting a higher low there as well. These are all things that I continue to look at. Now, where is my thesis going into this week as far as the charts and what am I looking for? As long as on ES right here, you can hold this range, continue to make these higher lows, you have to remain bullish. On NQ, what are we looking at here? As long as you can hold this key range, this key previous high that you had, in my opinion, you continue to look bullish. But where is that trend that I'm watching for right now before I can really look to get into longs, right? So what I'm looking for is basically right here. If you can get back above around 12.520, I'm looking for more upside. So if you start to push up to this range, you break through, you retest, I'm looking to long around this range for that upside. On the contrary, if you start to push down, hypothetically, you come out Monday morning, the bulls don't have control. You had some bad earnings Monday morning. You push down the retest. I'm looking to grab short right here. The trade that I am not looking for is come out Monday morning and trade this range. I do not want to have any part of that. You have about 75 points to the upside and you have about 75 points to the downside. That's not going to make me my money unless I'm over leveraging my account. We do not want to do that. So I'm going to wait for a clear break in either direction and then play it that way. That's just been the best play overall, especially when you're functioning with such low volume. And not only is the volume a little bit low, you can see that you're really getting random presses throughout the day. So you have massive sell pressure kicking in here, you come back down, more sell pressure, then a lot of buying pressure kicked back in near the end of the day. So it's really seesawing back and forth. Whereas we can come back to some of the previous days and buying volume has very much dominated. So when you're getting a mix of like this, you need to wait until you clearly break above or below that trend. ES is going to be the same. ES has got to break above this key level as well. So I'm going to go back to ES, with the actual stock. And you want to get a break or hold above around 39.80. That's going to be my key range to watch to start pushing back up into the 4,000 range. That's where I am watching because you didn't really get a breakdown until you broke below 39.80. So again, that's the area that we're watching. And if we can continue to make these higher lows as well, you have to remain very bullish, right? So going to GDP, everything like that, let's talk about that really quick. So going to investing.com, I just want to go over things that I'm looking at specifically here. I had a lot of comments in my last video in particular, and they were asking if I was bullish on GDP and rate hikes. Now, this is the important thing to know here, right? We have consumer confidence and be very big on Tuesday. Know that as well. It should have been on the list as well. But what I want to highlight is what they're looking at. First with GDP, then we'll go into the rate hikes. But when we're going into GDP, I want to highlight what they're telling us. Okay, so when we come in here, right, we're going to come really quickly into GDP. We're going to look at the previous GDP reports as well. So just bear with me, stay with me as long as you can. Now, they are expecting, just like they expected back in April. In April, they expected a 1.1, and then we came out negative 1.4, showing a lot of negative growth, and then it continued to rise till the end of the quarter. Now, quarter number 2, they're projecting a 0.4%. So what does this mean for Tyler? What am I doing? What am I looking at? I am looking at what they are giving me. That's all we can do as traders. We cannot pretend to know what's going to happen or how we think it's going to come out as an outlook. Now, I have my opinion, and I do believe it's going to come out negative. I do believe it's going to come out most likely worse. I think growth has drastically slowed. And if we look at the global market, we can also agree that everyone else is hurting as well. So it would make sense for us to hurt as well. So what I anticipate is more potential downside. However, if this comes out positive whatsoever, just anything positive, just not negative, in my opinion, it's a very bullish outlook on the market because you don't get back-to-back bearish quarters and the negatives, which hasn't happened in a long time. So that's why I made that video saying that this could possibly be a bear trap on the market with good earnings, with a good GDP report, and then with another decent rate hike. There's a lot of probabilities that go into that. However, I got to prepare you for all outlooks. That's why I am not taking any trades until you get a clear break in either direction. Why? Because that's the safest thing to do. I'm not interested in gambling here. If I wanted to gamble, I'd go gamble online and take some sports bets, but that's not the interest. So that's what I'm looking at here specifically with GDP. So for everyone commenting in the previous video, hopefully I didn't give you a wrong outlook on what was happening. I was just giving you what the market is showing right now. I can see both cases for up and downside based on this. And if we're looking at what the Fed is saying as well, they're definitely giving a more bullish outlook overall. Going really quickly into the rate decision. This is another big boy here. Now they are pricing in a 75-point hike. That's important to know. So you have your 1.75 up to 2.5, that's a 75-point hike. Now, what is happening here? A lot of questions and a lot of healthy arguments in Discord have come from this right here. We had a long discussion on this. Going into this week, there's something interesting going in this rate hike that hasn't really been happening lately. So we look at the past rate hikes, right? If we go to some of these past rate hikes, go to the daily on Nasdaq, for instance, right? During these rate hikes, you weren't necessarily bouncing. Now, when you dropped here, this wasn't during a rate hike. This was during, I believe, CPI data coming out, right? You haven't really been bouncing during this rate hike decision that you've been getting. But this time you have been. And some people are saying you haven't bounced yet on the market. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you right now you have. You found a low at 11,068 and you bounced to about 12.7. That's a massive 1,600 point bounce on Nasdaq. I don't know what else is a bounce, but that is what a bounce is. So you've already gotten a decent bounce. If I was the Fed, and I'm not, I would be raising or aggressively attacking inflation, because we have seen, since we did a 75-point hike previously, we have seen on the market that there's still negative growth. We have seen inflation still running rapid. We've seen on the market overall supply chain still hurting. So you'd want to attack this inflation while you are up, and the downside is minimal. And what do I mean by minimal? So let's say hypothetically, they come out and they give you a rate hike, and you get a bounce, and it's a decent rate hike, and you have a good week, and we shoot up, right? And then we slowly start to get affected by inflation more, and we just trend back down. Because in my opinion, even if we come out very bullish, we eventually will come back down, right? And so what I am saying is, if you do it now, you take it, you bite the bullet as we speak. We've seen what happens. You get an immediate drop, right? You get that immediate drop over the next few days, and then you'll start to stabilize, right? The bad news only affects you so long. And we've also had very good earnings so far. So if you start to dip and then you have good earnings, chances are that'll probably bottom you out as well, right? I'm just saying hypothetically. So I would rather nip this inflation in the bud as we speak, take the potential downside, and then run with it. That's what I would personally want to do. But when we're looking at the Fed and what they're saying right now, they're saying that a 4-point hike is overzealous. This is their lingo. This is what they've said, and they're really pushing to the public that they're not doing a 1-point hike. They're going to lean more towards 75 or 50. 75 being the most logical thing to do right now. You would not want to lower these as inflation continues to rise. So if this comes out at a 1-point hike, I think this could be catastrophic. If it comes out at a 1-point hike, you would almost see immediate downside, especially with the way the Fed has been describing this. So that's my big thing right here when I'm looking at this. Although it's most likely they're going to come out with a 75-point hike. I don't know why. I would be attacking inflation as much as possible. I would be front loading and then possibly reducing down the line. That's what I would rather be doing, because you don't want to be raising those rates while jobs get hit, and jobs have not been hit yet. Very important to know. So again, GDP as well. GDP, you got to get above. If it comes up positive, very good. That's on Thursday. That's after rate hikes. I'll keep you guys posted during the week as well. But that's really what I'm looking at here. Now, people are going to be asking me about stocks, specific plays like that. Again, Facebook group. I'm going to be talking about a lot of these stocks most likely the night before. But there's stocks I am most excited about. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm excited about Microsoft. I think they have very good upside potential, specifically with that Netflix deal they just signed. Very interested in that. Two, Google and Meta are going to be very big plays here, just because Snapchat got hit so bad. If they come out with bad outlooks once again, they're probably going to find new lows. So when we go to Meta, what am I talking about there with new lows being made? You can see that you came back, you touched this top range up here about 183, but look at that rejection when Snapchat hit. And if you come out with bad earnings as well, you're going to make new lows. I'm sorry, you're just going to. you're going to break that 150 level and you are going to start breaking down to the downside. And ultimately coming down to our bottom target of 138 to 140 would be beautiful. Would it be an immediate buy? That's what I'd be looking at there. However, again, it all depends on these earnings. Going forward as well, I'm not ever going to trade any GM or Ford. Not interested in that whatsoever. I'm very interested in QCOM. Could be very beneficial to the market, do very well. I expect them to most likely beat. Boeing should beat as well. And then Roku is going to be my sleeper pick on the week. I'm not really interested in Amazon or Apple. I think Roku is the sleeper pick. Why? Netflix had a monster week and they had very minimal retracement on that downside push. What does that mean? Roku just signed a few deals with some TV companies, and they're going to be implementing their systems into the TV, and they're expanding on that as well. They've already been doing, and I think Roku directly benefits from Netflix as well. So I think they could do well, but I'm not going to be playing in these earnings. I'm going to be waiting until after the fact or playing into earnings. So if we run strong this week, I'll be looking on like calls on something like Roku, calls on Boeing, calls on QCOM. Those are strong moving stocks in my opinion. On the downside plays, if we start moving to the downside, I'm looking for puts on Meta, on Alphabet, because I think they struggle into earnings, and then we'll have to see how they outplay during earnings. That's what I'm looking on the market. That's it for me. Make sure you get into that Facebook group. It's live right now. The link is down below. Have a good one, traders.